You think we'll ever have a gay rapper?
I believe there are some gay rappers that just ain't came out the closet.
Well, then we don't know that they're gay. Do you
Exactly.
think a big rap would have to be a big star to come out?
Hey everyone, it's your favorite gossip girl back with some juicy news. A lot of celebs and other artists are tight-lipped when it comes to Diddy's controversies, even though they know all too well what goes on behind closed doors. But not Snoop Dogg though. He knows that he got as much fame and influence as Puff to expose him from his toxic behavior, especially when it comes to his problematic drinking habits. A lot of people were already intimidated enough whenever Diddy is around, so how much more when he gets a little too drunk? He does not only make people feel awkward, but many of his fellow rappers are afraid to be around him whether he has been drinking or not. Luckily, Snoop Dogg does not back down from Puff's connections and influence. First off, both of them had been in the industry for a very long time already. If there is anyone who had seen what Diddy's parties were like and who knows him well, then that would be Snoop. It is kind of an open secret anyway, about the horrible things that happen in Diddy's parties. But it seems like these celebrations are getting way out of hand because more and more artists, specifically rappers, are worrying about Puff's behavior during these parties. Oh well, we know how wild these people can be when it comes to these kinds of things. Sean Love Combs, more popularly known as Diddy or Puff Daddy, had been involved in a lot of controversies. Some of them even have sinister stories. But if there is another thing that Diddy loves more than anything in the world, then it is hosting a lot of parties, for him and for other artists as well. But these artists know that it is hard to owe Diddy something, especially some celebrations. You must be wondering why people still want to party with him if there are a lot of questionable things happening in those events. Well, people often go to Diddy because they want the connections in the first place. And what better way to meet a lot of big names and influential individuals than to be invited to one of Puff's parties? You see, this must also be the reason why many artists are afraid to call him out to begin with, because they most likely owe him their fame and connections. That should not be reason enough to not expose him to serious speculations about him, including grooming and using these up-and-coming artists who seek his help for his own pleasure. Oh gosh, the dark and twisted part of the music industry and Hollywood. Really, even up to this day, there are still tons of higher-ups who are confident to take advantage of talented individuals. That should definitely change, and even though Snoop Dogg was not the best example there is, at least he has the guts to stand up against Diddy. Diddy's birthday bash is comparable to some of the biggest red carpet events in the industry. They say that being invited in one would be a great honor, but to what cost though? That is what we are curious about. I bet that there are more than just foods and drinks in these festivities. But lately, more and more rappers are deciding to decline Diddy's invitation, and they are seemingly avoiding him intentionally. Apparently, whenever he is pumped with alcohol and God knows what other substances, Diddy's behavior becomes ridiculous and terrifying to say the least. I mean, it must have been hard to say no to him as he is the host of the gatherings. These two music moguls have partied together multiple times already, so Snoop certainly knows more than what we see and hear online from the media and speculators. Rumors have been going around about how Diddy uses every party to satisfy his untamed fantasies and even have strict rules in his parties. Not only that, but as I have gathered, some people were even required to participate in some inappropriate acts that Puff wants to happen. Oh gosh, a lot of the attendees must have only wanted to mingle with other powerful personalities while avoiding Diddy's demands. These speculations were actually not new. It is not surprising anymore to hear people expose Diddy for being closeted and using his parties to lure artists that he is interested in. As I've mentioned, many were led to believe that he is not a straight man, but this is beyond the matter at hand. People are not pressuring him to come out and confirm his sexuality, but he should have never used it to take advantage of other rappers and young talents. But before we talk about how Snoop Dogg actually exposed Diddy, make sure that you subscribe to our channel right away if you want to know more about the controversies that Sean Combs is entangled in. I will always keep you on the loop about the latest happenings in his parties and more. Some other rappers who keep on talking bad about Diddy are mostly homophobic. That could be the main reason why we would never hear him confirm anything about how he identifies himself. But going back to his parties, in 2011, Diddy displayed some aggressive attitude when he did not like what the person was drinking at the Bet Hip Hop Awards weekend after party. Even T.I. tried to tell him to chill out. Imagine that. So what happened was, he came up on stage to hype up the crowd and spotted someone drinking Grey Goose, and guess what happened next? He randomly threw ice at that guy and went as far as taunting him in the mic. Let us go way back though. In 1999, as Diddy was celebrating at Club New York in Midtown Manhattan, Puffy bumped into someone which caused an altercation. But it did not end there, as there were shots fired eventually. By the looks of it, Diddy, alcohol, and parties were not really a great match. He parties way too hard that he often causes problems instead of fun. You might also have heard about how Gene Deal, Puffy's former bodyguard, also goes against him as he revealed the things that he saw and experienced when he was still working for the music giant. Gene added fuel to the fire when he claimed that Diddy enjoys getting intimately involved with the rappers he mentors. He even shared a story about how he had to guard the door while Diddy was doing something with Ja Rule as he was asked not to let anyone through. Because of all these stories from multiple credible artists who have known Diddy for a long time, more rappers are weary of him these days. If before it was an honor to be invited to one of his parties, that is no longer the case. Snoop Dogg believes that if Puffy continues to behave this way, he would eventually lose all these young artists' respect. Yes, there is no question with how Diddy is able to make these rappers known and famous. A lot of them definitely consider him as their ticket to make it in the industry, but that would never be easy because they have to give him something in return, and we all have an idea about what that would be. Additionally, there is more to this unsaid feud about Diddy and 50 Cent. One source revealed, "A lot of people don't know this story. 50 Cent went to Diddy for Bad Boy. A lot of people don't know that. We had a meeting and it was crazy that Diddy didn't sign him. I know that was one of the biggest mistakes of Bad Boy." Based on how 50 Cent is always coming after Diddy's sexuality, it is obvious that it was his decision not to work under Puffy. Diddy must have told Fif what he got to do in order to be part of Bad Boy, and he was not down for any of it. That kind of makes sense though.
You take me shopping. I looked at him like, what you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You gonna make me mess up?
Who are the other artists you know that exposed Diddy in the past? I would love to know about that, so share it in the comment section below. Now, 50 Cent might have declined Diddy's offer, but a lot of other young artists would be willing to do anything to be his protege. Come on, who would forget about how he allegedly groomed Usher? Before he made it big in the industry, Usher used to live with Diddy when he was just 14 years old. Just imagine the horror that he must have experienced when he was with Diddy. This awkward video even created a frenzy online. And think of how cringy was Justin's vlog when he had to spend 48 hours with Puffy. Unfortunately, Diddy got enough influence to be able to reach these young artists. It is so sad that he had to lure them that way, even though these people had real talent. According to Snoop Dogg, Diddy often loses control when he's drunk, and the more he pressures these rappers to do inappropriate things with him, the more that they would want to stay as far away from him as possible. This decision should be a warning to Diddy for him to stop such suggestive manners. More rappers these days are no longer excited with the thought of working with Diddy. They probably realize that they do not need to be involved with him to be recognized. Parties can go wild, but Diddy's are often taken to the next level, and he would continue to feel invincible if people would always be afraid to expose him. Yes, he has the money and all, but preying on fellow artists and rappers should never have happened in the first place. There you have it. Now that people saw that someone could stand up against Diddy, there would surely be more celebs and artists willing to call him out on such a negative and problematic behavior. I would love to know your thoughts. Comment them down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay tuned for more juicy gossip.